Hi. The moment of grief and crisis has arrived. The one that I felt called to mention in the last reading. And I think a reading before that, I also mentioned the arrival or I don't know if I actually linked this, but the link between the crisis and the backsliding into destructive habits, forms of escapism, and repeating cycles, codependent behaviors, etc., etc. Those two are very linked. Again, don't know if I mentioned this before, but as I'm experiencing it now, with those two things very much a lodged theme of the patterns that I'm recognizing in my personal life. I have terrible brain fog. I am spacing out a lot. My heart space has been under siege. There is a massacre happening inside my chest right now. Emotionally, I am definitely a structure that's like slowly falling over. Very much the tower in slow motion. And it doesn't feel good at all. And to link it to the title of this reading, I felt like the only option that I have, everything feels so overwhelming right now that the only option I have is, hopefully the sound is better, is to surrender. Because it literally feels like a wrong fit in my body to try to do anything else. I can feel the frustration building up inside of me when I try to do this to the energy these unfavorable emotions and vibes that I've been feeling. I can feel the inverse or the perverse, just the extra discomfort. This is already an uncomfortable feeling, but there's an extra layer of discomfort when I try to when I try to push it away or ignore it and distract myself. Although there are some distractions that work, and I think that's just the universe leading me to places, symbols, whatever. Point is, this has been a very interesting time. I was able to sense into it, but again, and this always happens with me when I'm able to catch what may be in the path in front of us, but I can only ever speak it. Obviously, none of anything about life is without its experience. The wisdom and the value comes in actually living, being, surrendering to the moment. So I can say for certain that is a very difficult lesson we are all needing to learn in one way or another right now with the eclipse that is upon us. I really, I feel like there's so much happening and there's so much to lay out that even if it's just for my sake and if not a single other person watches this, I would really like to lay it out in two parts. I have an intention to read this evening and then again tomorrow after my tarot and chill, just to get that admin out of the way. There's a lot happening. And what I'm getting a keen sense of that I feel like bringing up right now is the part of the experience where we are being taught through the surrender, we're being taught to accept. And then even further, we're being taught to accept parts of ourselves that we may have not recognized before, parts of ourselves or our view onto our life. that we may have not recognized before, that added on to that we didn't recognize, and now that we recognize it, we don't like it. That thing that we're recognizing is a mirroring back of what hurts us inside, of our traumas, and again, these things that we really didn't expect to see so full view, so like, oh my God, shocking, clutch pearls, you know? And in that shock value is a lot of pain, a lot of feelings of vulnerability, and like that lack, that not the lack of nurture, but when you're a child and you're scared and you're seeking safety so you can regulate, that thing is happening. And there's the seeking of safety has been very hard for me because of how it feels. I can feel it being a direct invitation from God, the source, you know, to say, hey, believe in me. You don't have anywhere else to turn. Look at everything. Look at how you feel. Look at what's happening in your body right now. Look at how you can't think straight and you're tired and you're really back against the wall. You don't know what to do. Look at this. What else are you going to do but to look at me, recognize me, rely on me, trust me, know that I love you, know that I am a benevolent, omnipresent. I feel like I've been using recycling words throughout. I mean, we all do at this point, right? I am an ever-stretching expanse of something that you can have full faith in is looking after you. It's a very comforting thing to be able to fetch, but obviously with the way that everything feels like it's so under pressure, it's like it's a fight to fetch it and keep it. It feels like we're being squeezed so much by the doubt and the fear that the little room that we have where there is light and there is that voice of reassurance has to really push back. We're training our muscles. And it's been hard. We all have individual stories that are bringing about these emotions. So for today's reading, I'm going to pull cards on that, explore first the general and then zoom into whatever micro stories are sitting inside the picture. I'm announcing it like this in this reading so that I can also be intentional about it. And I can not waffle too much, find the energy, talk about it, you know? That's also another prompting that I think is coming from this, because it takes a lot of bravery, right? To surrender and to trust and to be open, to live openly, you know? It's so scary to do. And I'm sure it's obvious in my demeanor and just the way that I am in this reading that I'm having a very intense time chugging and building that bravery up within me. I send love to everybody who relates to what I'm saying. Let's see what cards would like to bring to our attention regarding this eclipse. Bearing in mind that this is very eclipsy, right? We're all on the same page. This is because of the eclipse. I'm still leaning into talking like that, where I'm like, oh no, it's the moon for sure. Oh no, it's definitely Saturn. Oops, Jupiter's doing a thing. So when I say it, I still feel a bit mad, but that's genuinely how I am. So I know that everybody watching is on the same page. It's just I've been feeling called lately to just make room for the odd viewers who are checking me out so that they can learn more. It's interesting how long it's taking for a card to fall out. I also don't want to rush it. And I also, obviously, I mean, I guess this goes without saying, though, that this in itself is a symbol to what needs to be done for what's coming. That is to say, these cards won't help. These cards won't do shit. Or they could. I mean, for me, I love doing this. It's really grounding. Just the feeling of shuffling the cards as well. And I've shuffled enough for myself. And I just felt like doing this. All right. Can we have a card, please? I want them to fall out. Thank you. Of course. Okay, I got this card this morning. I've pulled at least like 3 times for myself today. I got this card this morning. And this, to me, it's giving portal, guys. That's what this is giving. All of this energy. It's giving that this is us walking through into whatever our intention has been working so long for now to bring to life. The feeling of, or I'm sure you can imagine, the feeling of what it must, the kind of pressure you must feel on your physical body, even on all the other ethereal bodies, how it must feel like traveling through a portal in that pressure. Sorry for these high guy coded conversations, but genuinely, this is what I'm trying to bring to attention how effective, the kind of impact that this will have on so many unseen layers. What is coming has its own vortex and energy. And it's like we are at the point of the gravitational pull where it's pulling us into high speed. Like we're no longer, it's like we did this, like a roller coaster, like I'd mentioned in the last reading. More context. Please watch your traveling. Lovely. Just sorry to extend on this. Please be safe on the roads. Watch where you travel. And also keep safe in your traveling commutes. I hope you do some kind of grounding exercise before you get in the middle of a hustle bustle traveling bus route, taxi route, whatever route, that intermix of energies can be really intense during a time like this, where you'll bump someone and you would have bumped them on the wrong day, and then they get really, really upset and it just fucks up both of your days. That kind of thing. Feels like something like that's gonna happen because of how everything feels really charged. And then the 10 of discs followed, which I think has to do with I've been seeing a lot amongst us as the tarot community about readings regarding claiming your ancestral gifts. And when I'd first looked at them, it was very like, oh, sensationalist, you're just trying to bait us. But no, everybody's onto something. I think we're all tapping into a common thread of the fact that of acknowledgement of the history of where we come from, the archaeological archived experiences of our ancestors feels like is coming into like focus right now. In that, and this is something I've also been seeing a lot on Twitter, to the point of reminding us to not look at everything as like we've come a long way. There are people who lived before us who brought their innovations, ideas, patience, perseverance, suffering, brought us to this point of modernity and all of these privileges that we have, the internet, everything. There was a whole 1,000 lives before us. There are a whole 1,000 grandparents' experiences, traumas, healings, etc., that lie in you alone. And all of that, I keep turning this way, all of that is coming to its finality, to its all of that is coming to its one of its final realizations through you. Yeah, that's as far as I can go. Yeah. Something about something that has been sitting with you since you were a child, that was passed on to you by your ancestors, your grandparents, whoever. Not so much like one of the typical spiritual gifts as it is just, I'm feeling into, Okay, no, it is a gift actually. All right. It's a gift in the sense that everybody has a perfect frequency, way of feeling, believing, perceiving that is perfect to them. We all know this. But I think what we have underestimated about what happens when you're in that frequency is that everything happens, you're in alignment. So that when things unfold and you go about your day, you experience a shit ton of coincidences. Telepathic communication is nothing to you. You're able to manifest almost instantaneously, so much so that you'd have to obviously keep up with your balance, so that you don't manifest anything crazy. But yeah, that is the sense of what I'm getting into. You're going to realize a gift as a very special trait about yourself, a special feeling specifically about yourself or within your body that's going to make you feel more, not more in control. I mean, yes, empowered. Yes, I mean, that's the frequency that we're all chasing after. But no, it's more like I'm getting into the sense that this is something, whatever it is that you get about yourself, this thing that you realize about yourself, it'll get you exactly what it is that it will get you the way of living that you have been seeking materially. There's a way, there's a kind of life that you've been envisioning you've been wanting to live for years now. And something about that is going to start blooming. You're going to start it's going to start materializing, either whether maybe your ability to manifest money quickens. Maybe you get a better job, promotion, a job that you've been wanting. Maybe you have been seeking building a community or being in partnership with somebody who makes you, who with whom you can build with, or with whom you can just have a more secure, just a more connected physical life, something will unfold in your life that will allow you to feel more connected to all of life. That is in itself empowering. Very great, like a trophy achievement, practically speaking. I'm imagining the ancestors and angels kind of cheering you on, going, yeah, he did it, she did it, they did it, yes. They've been putting in a lot of work through us. And for a lot of us, we've been none the wiser, but they've been present. If you look back, it may be something you recognize as well. This sense of a lot of realizations of how, okay, just as an exercise, look back to all the moments. Consider the last time you felt lucky. Consider every moment that you felt lucky. Yeah, look back to all the moments where you felt, wow, I'm a lucky person, I'm blessed. There's no way that you haven't thought that about yourself. Think back to all those times, take stock, and feel grateful because that's true. It's a true thought. I'm getting the sense that gratitude will also work really well. It's been working brilliantly for me, as I mentioned in the last reading. Cool. So it's very dreamy. King of Rods and the Page of Cups. Both to me symbolize give a very like Piscean energy. Shout out to the eclipse and to the Saturn in Pisces, which, by the way, I marked, isn't actually on the 7th. It happened on the 1st. So that explains why I'm like this. But this feels like, all right, so with all these cards together, it definitely is obviously very spiritual. It's a very spiritual upgrade or maintenance, but more to tune into our dream, the thing that makes us. I'm getting the feeling of something being picked up or elevated emotionally. Something helps elevate you. Even physically, I guess maybe it improves your posture. But this is all a spiritual link. I'm getting the inside out thing, as within, so without, the cups, the rods, and then the discs. Well, the disc as the first. But anyway, both these people to me give very dreamy vibes. He's very hopeful. She lives in between worlds. Very naturally, she finds it comfortable. I think both are giving, like I said, Pisces, Sag, Yeah, no, just Pisces and Sag. Virgo, actually. This is very Virgo. And I read somewhere online that fire signs, obviously Pisces placements, fire signs as well, fire risings are going to be feeling this eclipse the most. It's going to hit you. I think it's going to hit you in your philosopher. No, I'm thinking about the Sag sense. But I think for fire signs, the reason it will be so impactful is because of the fire sign's natural ability to make a move and to do something. And an emotion that I was tapping into earlier was that I can feel, as per the title, that the best thing to do is to surrender. But I'm still fighting against this other sense that says, oh, you need to do something right now. I guess the speed of which this is happening, I linked it to an urgency, but I think what it mostly feels it to me like is the sense of what I'd explained earlier, where we're in a certain point of the pull of whatever's happening right now, that there's no stopping it. And I think we can all feel on some level that there's a, and we can't go back. We can't turn. We can't we're going towards it. And yeah, that, 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 yeah, the pull is very, I don't even know what to say about it. I don't want to, it's your experience. It's intense for me. Anyway, with these two cards, I can also suggest that you, I'm receiving journaling, but I'm specifically receiving journaling from the from just the layer below the conscious. So that journal suggestion where you wake up in the morning and you just streamline some thoughts, just write them all down. There was a follow-up that said that you shouldn't read it afterwards, although I think for interest's sake, I would be really interested to see what my brain does, but I'd read it at the end of the week. So maybe that's something that you can do just to observe yourself and to get more in touch with your human experience relative to your spiritual experience, I've been getting a lot of the need for that, to practice your spirituality more, with more, what is the word? Reverence. Yes, with more reverence and appreciation for why you're doing the thing. Why are you praying? I've had candles on throughout the day for this whole weekend since about a day ago. This eclipse energy is really, it's got me here. I'm also receiving, this one's really random, but if you are experiencing any like mental health crisis, or you're going through you may go through an emotional processing that feels above you, a little bit scary because of how new it is, so that you may wonder about your lineage's mental health states. Like I have relatives who need medication to stay sane. And that's something I only found out a few years ago, and it really brought to sense everything about me regarding my mental health, my spirituality, all of that. So you might, if you are experiencing a mental health crisis, try to consider that in order to get a fuller picture of what you're experiencing, and or you might receive information that will allow you to understand more about what it is that you're experiencing via your mental health crisis, but also via your whole experience with life in general. This realization that I had mentioned earlier that comes up about you, I'm getting real ancestral realizations, ancestral coming to, finding out things about your family members that could affect the way that you see yourself as a person, and in turn affect what you do, how you exert your will and live your life, where it comes from in your heart, how you translate that. I'm also getting the sense of an artist, writing, creating. So if that's something you've been considering, please get into it. And if you're somebody who hears that and first thing you think is, oh, I'm not good at creating or making whatever, just try it out. Turn your brain off and just do a thing and see how far it gets you. There may be something about that as well that is part of your gift. So the writing, the drawing, performing. But I'm getting like a possibly niche performance, like fire throwing. That was random. But yeah, I've always thought it was cool. I'm also getting that black sheep sense, and how I feel like extending on that by hoping that if that is a position that you've identified with, that you are no longer by now active in the victimhood part of the black sheepness, but rather just understanding that you are different and moving from there. Please, I hope you're no longer feeling sorry for yourself. And if not, if you're still in that space, then yeah, give yourself time, but please, as soon as possible, don't be feeling sorry for yourself. There are roads that you can take, different ways of perceiving your story, and trust and believe the best one that you can choose is the one that gives you an opportunity to expand and grow and think more of and become, and and thinking of yourself as a victim really is just a closing factor. You don't want to close off on your gifts. This is definitely somebody gifted, actually, with these two cards together. This is a direct, oh, you're gifted. So maybe that is something that might come up, and be aware of that too. Be aware of the sensations and symptoms, because it varies. There's a lot, and there's a lot of information. Consider being open to it. It may be ethereal as well. Like you may just get a random impulse feeling within you. Beware of your dreams. Be intentional about them too, if you can. I find it easiest to like lucid dream and get prophetic or symbolic dreams during the day when I take a nap, or when I sleep, wake up in the middle of the night and then try to go back to sleep again. That part there where I try to go back to sleep is prime period for messagings and things that I receive. So be aware of that. Look into lucid dreaming or astral projecting if that's something that isn't too hectic for you to hear, and if it's something you've been considering. And have hope. I'm getting the sense of just this feeling of like, like, is it going to end? When is it going to end? And I get the sense that, because this is something that I've been feeling. And it's also another reason why I do these readings. I get the feeling of people kind of seeking everywhere they can through these readings, through the habits of escapism, codependency, all the stuff that's resurfacing again from subconscious behaviors, the underworld, 12th house, all of that. Yeah, just seeking answers, man. We're all just seeking answers and a sense of peace and control. But you can't control this. I also saw a tweet that suggested that if there's anything that does happen, regardless of what these cards say and regardless of what I've said, if there's anything that happens, just go with it. You can find my Twitter profile, because I know I'm going to paraphrase it weekly. Reading it is a much better experience. And then funny enough, we have the Fool beneath the deck, which I think speaks for itself. I was going to shuffle more, but seeing this card, and this is exactly how I feel the universe is looking at us. And we have a full moon, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, so guys, I'm finished. This eclipse is really taking me out. Like the rest of the cards I think are just for me. I have been really, I can feel this effect on my body. And it's what I mentioned as well, I think a reading ago, that this kind of thing, exhaustion on all layers. I'll try to find the reading and then link it in the description. Like I said, me talking about it though and actually experiencing it are two very, very different things. And I'm humbled. I feel deeply humbled. And I can tell that this humbling is it's part of the medicine. I think that actually I could tap into the interpretations of each of these cards since they are so short, and I feel as though there's nothing left for me to say. There's nothing left for me to say. And I'm also sorry, my low energy is just, this has been a crazy time. I think I should actually start with the 8 of Rods. And again, with all of these things, it's always been just crazy internally, but there have actually been external crazies. But anyway, yeah. This card speaks of excitement, the start of a journey, hopeful activity, the end of delays, confidence, optimism, anticipation, moving towards a goal. It may be useful to step back and check that the goal is worthwhile. This is interesting. The keywords of excitement and the general energy of joy and optimism that this card brings, I believe, in contrast to what these two cards suggest, which I'll touch into when I read the interpretation, but they're very so the way that I interpret each of their energies is that the both of them were traumatized into the state of dreaminess. They're very naturally dreamy people and continued to rely on it because they needed to, as a sense of survival, which isn't very joyful. But I do think that there's a transmutation of that energy that's happening through us, like I said, through the ancestral realizations, gifts, etc., etc. We were given a lot of pain that was not ours, but because of who we'll become after we process that pain, it is ours. It's all of our. It's exactly our pain. It's made perfectly for us. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'll read that card next. This card speaks of family tradition, the family inheritance of pregnancy, birth, or bereavement, the human family, genealogical research, connections, healing a family breach, universal ideas and situations. I think every single one of those keywords apply here. I don't feel any need to point anything out. So next will be the Page of Cups. And then afterwards, I'll cut it. Hoping that this helps whoever watches. Yeah, again, with how low my energy is and how pulled to surrender I feel. I do feel on some level that this was unnecessary, but really, if just for me, just for me. This interpretation is someone with a fitful changeling magic. Be aware of the gift it signifies and don't try to trap or harness it. Sexuality potent yet not quite fully formed. The beginnings of love, recovery of hope or a new idea. The end of an emotional winter. Both of these cards speak of a kind of newness, which is wonderful and something I hadn't noted before. But I guess it implies with the page, new energy. And then I'll get to the Knight of Rods, which speaks of someone searching for meaning and truth in a disturbing and trivial world. An idealist, sometimes quite impractical or naive. His creative and healing gifts may be evident quite early, but he's yet to find his full power, which is very Pisces coded. More Pisces than I'd thought. I had figured that this is more Pisces than this, but this is very Piscean energy, especially the part of being naive and practical, which is an interesting card to come to receive shortly after Saturn going back into Pisces, into tropical Pisces. Good luck to us. To us in our Saturn return, we have one final run. We can do it. Oh my God. Thank you so much for reading. I mean, being here with me during this reading. We are about to be so changed. And I can only hope that this change is something that you, that fits like a glove and that makes you feel good. And that can bring in greater abundance than not just you, but any of your bloodline could have processed, because that's actually a truth. And I hope that you stay blessed. Yeah, we are always blessed. I hope, if anything, if nothing comes from this, that you remember that you're always blessed. Either way, no matter what happens, no matter